What's going on, guys? It's Leo. Um, so, if y'all aren't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe if you can. If you enjoy my content, it really helps to keep me motivated. I was just looking at the statistics, and about 70% of y'all are not subscribed that watch my videos. So, I'd very much appreciate that. So, just digging in right here to Rivian Motors. Um, so, there's a couple of thoughts here. We're going to look at the technical side, the technical setup. But first, I kind of want to talk about my thoughts about the company. Um, right off the bat, it's vastly overvalued in my opinion. They don't have any earnings. They have some promises to purchase from Amazon for 100,000 vehicles over the next 10 years, and they're supposed to deliver 10,000 vehicles by the end of 22, which comes up to about 670 million. But right now, the company is valued at, I believe it's like 100 billion, which is more than Ford. And to put that in perspective, Ford's earnings were about projected to be about 10 million or 10 billion this year, maybe 11 billion, and they're valued at 77 billion. So the earnings are just not there to justify this high price. So essentially, if somebody takes an investment into this company, what they're betting on is that the electric truck market just does extremely well, and you're looking very far down the road. It's my thought is I don't want to take the trade because I believe we're coming up to a market deleveraging where there's going to be a lot of credit is going to be hard to come by, meaning that basically we're going into I don't want to say depression, but I see that possibility down the road, especially with the potential of this short squeeze coming up on a lot of these stocks. You look at the margin debt in America, and it's at all time highs, so that's very concerning. That can't go on forever. There's going to be a deleveraging at some point. Deleveraging just means that they aren't going to be able to they're going to be defaulting on the money that they've borrowed. Basically, they've over leveraged themselves, and this has happened for hundreds of years throughout um, all economies across the world. It just happens. The markets move in cycles. So that being said, what does interest me is if we do go into a recession and markets come down considerably. This is one of the companies that I'd be interested in buying really, really cheap. If I could get this thing cheaper than the IPO price, that'd be good. And then I would just hold it, assuming that their truck performs very well in the future. I do say one thing that I would say they have an advantage over Tesla is their truck looks a lot more appealing to people. So if we just come over here and we take a look at the Tesla truck, uh, so I think my opinion here as to where Elon Musk screwed up is that this does not look like your typical truck, right? It looks very futuristic. And the problem with that is that you go into a niche market. There's very few people that would, especially that buy trucks, the country guy, the redneck type, uh, hunter type person. It's just a very select few people that would actually like a truck similar to this. It's just not, to me at least, these are my thoughts. It's just not all that appealing. If they did something like this, that opens them up to a much broader market. That opens them up to, well, let me say, it opens them up to a wider buyer pool. This design would be a lot more appealing to, uh, you're just your country guy type person. Now, it is difficult because typically a large portion of people that buy trucks, they're very oil. They like oil. So, that kind of cuts out a large part of the market just based on that alone. They support oil companies. That's what that's what they have in their head. So, that alone kind of cuts out a lot of your buyer base. That in combination with it being uh, very futuristic-y designed, it's just a very niche market. I'm not saying they aren't going to make money on it. They probably will because it's Tesla. I'm just saying that it's a mistake, in my opinion, to have designed it like this, because I think it's not as appealing as a more traditional looking truck like this. So jumping back over to Rivian, if we take a look at their truck, it looks a lot more traditional. Uh, that looks a lot more like actually, it looks very similar to like a Range Rover. So this has a much more appeal to me, to the luxury market, to your soccer mom, maybe your um, family type vehicle. Maybe some construction guys like it. Um, it well, maybe not for that price. 60, 70,000 is pretty steep for a construction worker, unless you're working up north or Northern California. Um, so they have that going for them. So that's interesting. Um, but I mean, they've got to sell a lot of vehicles to be able to justify such a high market cap. So the only way that I'm really interested in buying this company would be that if we go into a crash and it gets significantly cheaper, because it's just overpriced and overhyped right now, in my opinion. But all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the technicals. This doesn't. This is a very good lesson. Is why I'm going to chart this. I'm not saying that it's going to get to these prices, but this is the way you would technically analyze this stock. And it's very possible that it does get to these prices. It's You never know what will drive the price when it comes to technical analysis. I'm a firm believer that they write the news to match the price action. So I never really pay attention to news that much. I just look at the technicals of a company typically. Um, I say that based on I look at the technicals when it comes to trading, but I do want the company to have solid foundations. I don't want to go into an asset blind and then it just be a complete pump and dump type of trade. So anyway, we have this straight rip up and we have a straight rip down. Basically, we get a 1, 2, 3, 4. You get that triangle in there for the fourth wave. It's very typical. You get an extended fifth wave as well. You can see your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up in there, and then we start to correct. And so this would be a very sharp zigzag. You hardly get any retracement there for the B, which, I mean, to me, that just says that this thing ran up way too high, way overhyped, and then it's just very quickly trying to get back down. So what I see here is a 1, 2, 3, 4. We can measure off the length of the 1 here, project it from the end of the 2, and you can see there that the third wave went exactly to the 1618. So that's our most likely target on a third wave. So this count's looking good. Let's see what the projection off of there is. Okay, so it got to the 618, but the most likely target would be the 100%. But we already have 5 waves coming down for the C. So we see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for the C. So you're at the golden zone. We're moving off. That looks like a completed ABC to my eyes. So now where's your trade? Well, what I would be looking for here is I'd be looking for us to move up. Preferably, I would like to see it get above the 200 EMA. But, for example, let's say that it comes down back to the 50. Over here we have a low volume node. We have the 50. We have your pitchfork parallel right here supporting it. And then you could just target the -236 up here. Typically what I like to do is I like to get in on these smaller measured moves and hold it with my stop below here, watching it run up to the larger measured move target. So I'd be looking for the -236 up there at $210. So That's the type of trade that I like. There are people that take trades just short term, they scalp out here and they're done. I prefer the longer swing trades with much bigger targets. Now, you are actually going to be looking for the real target you'd be looking at is 270. And the reason is because that's going to be your 618 or 1618 of the first. So you measure the length of the first projected from the 1618% of that. That's your most likely target for a third wave. So if we put in, assuming we put in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a first wave, corrected down for our second, most likely target's $270 for the third. Now, fundamentally, I don't see how it gets there unless some car company comes out and says we're making massive purchases. The hype could drive it there. And that's the thing with technical analysis. You never really know what news is around the corner to drive the price. But the company, in my opinion, is just vastly overvalued as is. So I'm just going to stay away from it. It's not that there's always another trade. I don't need to FOMO into one of these overhyped stocks to make money. It's usually the ones that aren't hyped up yet, but you see that potential that are the best trades to make. So, that in mind, we can take a look here and I can show you all the risk to reward you'd be getting. Let's see, there we go, long position. So, let's say you enter at the 50, put your stop there. You'd be looking, where is it? Yeah, 27 to 1. I mean, that's a great risk to reward, but again, I just don't like it just because of how overvalued it is. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a big news article that comes out that just drives the price higher and we get a lot of just ridiculous, stupid FOMO driving the price up. But it's just not something that I'm particularly interested in. But it was a good lesson example to show what kind of trades I like to look for. So I look for that first move up, coming down for the second. Then we get a little one wave off of the second wave, enter at the 50, 618. Maybe we get a low volume node there for some confluence, trading away from the EMAs and watch it, over many months or maybe even years, just watch the position go up to target. All right. I think that's just about it for this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you aren't. I really appreciate it. It helps keep me motivated to keep making these videos. Just kind of like more people I can talk to and whatnot keeps me motivated. So I will talk to y'all soon. You'll probably hear from me Monday. Not a whole lot has changed on AMC. The bands are getting tighter. So, it just tells me that we're getting closer and closer to the squeeze. If y'all have any questions, drop them in the comment section below and I'll talk to y'all soon.